Do I have a motion to open the November 30th, 2022 regular business meeting of the Harrison Central School District Board of Education?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Michelle, would you please do a roll call? Here.
Here. Here.
Thank you, Michelle. Do I have a motion to recess into executive session to discuss a teacher and contractual matters?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. We are recessed. Do I have a motion to reopen the Wednesday, November 30th, 2022 regular business meeting of the Harrison Central School District Board of Education?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Michelle, would you please do a roll call? Here.
Here.
Samantha Gilberto.
Here.
Robert C. Sullivan Jr.
Here.
Wendy Wilson.
Here.
Right.
Thank you, Michelle. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have one set of minutes from the November 16th, 2022 Board of Education meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. At this time, if any member of the public would like to address the board, you may do so. Please approach the podium and state your first and last name.
Good evening. My name is Hunter Brown. I'm a trustee of the Harrison Educational Foundation. It's my pleasure to present, on behalf of HEF, this check to the Harrison Central School District. The foundation recently approved 3 grant applications. The first grant, the HHS Guidance Development College Tour, which was originally founded in 2019 but went unused due to COVID, and the funds were then returned. This grant is being reissued to the Harrison High School Guidance Department for the 2022-23 school year to assist students facing economic challenges to attend college tours. The total grant would allow each student to attend 2 to 3 college tours with a minimum of 1 in the fall and 1 in the spring. The first half of this $5,000 grant was issued in October of 2022. Tonight, HEF presents you with the second half of this grant, $2,500, to immediately assist the guidance department with spring tours. The second grant HEF is funding is the student-led writing center at Harrison High School, proposed by Jamie Cantor, director of the ELA. HEF will be funding the furniture for the writing center, where students will go to receive support on their writing from other students. Student leaders will receive training on what it means to be a writing fellow. This will be a safe place that will encourage opportunities for students to be leaders and to work with one another as writing peers. We're pleased to present you tonight the amount of $4,773 to the Student-Led Writing Center. And then lastly, the third approved grant is for making the PYP happen, the Training Elementary School Teachers in the IB PYP program. These funds will contribute to the elementary school teacher PYP IB training program and will help further the progress of making Harrison a full IB district. HEF is very happy to be able to continue our partnership with the district in supporting the implementation of the IB program, and we're pleased to present $7,500 for this grant. It's HEF's great pleasure to present with you this check for a total of $14,773 to the funds to fund these 3 grants. HEF is proud to continue the support of our schools, and we'd like to thank everyone in the Harrison Central School District who make it possible for our students to experience such excellence in education. Those interested in making a contribution I was told to make this plug by my board members. Those interested in making a contribution should go to HEF's website, harrisoned.org. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You need to take that and we need to get a picture.
Okay.
If you don't mind,
I think
Mr.
we
Brown,
have
would
to
you
take
stand up front? Dr. Lady, other duties as assigned? Thank you so much. While Mr. Brown is standing here, I will tell you that 47 students have already taken advantage of the funding for the college tour. I learned that they toured SUNY New Paltz. Am I right, Mrs. Malchewski?
Yes, yeah, it was great. We went to the Paul. It was wonderful.
So your money's already doing good work. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. I know I speak on behalf of the entire Board of Education for the time spent and the partnership with the district and all of the students that benefit on behalf of your generosity. So thank you to the entire foundation.
I don't typically interrupt you, but it's just so interesting that the foundation is here talking about those 3 grants. We were just discussing, and I got a little bit choked up, talking about all that that means to those kids who typically would not have the opportunity to see a college without your support, and that was terrific, and Mrs. Katzenberg did a great job. There were 47 kids that took that first tour and got all kinds of exposure connecting to EOP and all kinds of things. Just phenomenal. Dr. Mulhall sitting behind me today, you're helping to help train teachers. We were training another cohort of 21 teachers in PYP, and my favorite grant of maybe all time is when we give kids an opportunity to help other kids. Dr. Cantor is not here tonight, but we are so excited about the idea of our strongest student writers being trained to support their fellow students. So those 3 grants are really just stellar grants and everything that our district stands for, and we couldn't do it without your partnership. So thank you so much, and please thank the foundation on behalf of all of us. Sorry about that.
No, of course. So, okay, moving on. I hope that everyone enjoyed their Thanksgiving holiday with family and friends or wherever you may have landed. It's my favorite holiday, and I feel like just kicks off a very special time of year. Speaking of which, we have the Harrison tree lighting. Students from the Harrison Ave and Parsons School will sing holiday songs on December 3rd at the tree lighting ceremony in downtown Harrison between 3:45 and 4 p.m. Friday night. Students from Preston will be singing at West Harrison event in the Village Green at 7 p.m. In the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, we had an exceptional student, Ariella Blackman, marched in the Great American Marching Band, and she was selected among hundreds of applicants, and she submitted an audition, which she was judged on the technical proficiency, tone quality, and overall musicianship. So Ariel performed and a solo at the festival, and she's also one of the top musicians from around the country under the direction of Mr. Richard Good, Director of Bands at Auburn University, one of the nation's premier collegiate marching programs. So congratulations, Ariella. Wonderful accomplishment.
And those of you that were here may remember that Ariel was also one of the people that was a Regeneron finalist last year. So this is a student that hits all the bells.
Well-rounded. The Harrison High School debate team, they just continue record-breaking performance. Congratulations to the entire debate team for the Glenn Brooks tournament, one of the most difficult national championships of the year. Charles Zuhausen was champion of the JV division. Jesse Pine was runner-up in varsity. Reese Potash placed 3rd in JV, and Samantha Ramirez placed 4th. So congratulations. They never cease to amaze. We had a college signing, an athletic signing for Mateo Ponce Ocampo, who committed to playing soccer at Georgetown. So congratulations, super impressive, and we are very proud. We had, the awards keep coming. So in regards to football, the All-League Football Players and Coach of the Year, and a huge congratulations to Jay Sirocco, Coach of the Year, Dylan Hines, Offensive Lineman of the Year, Chris McLaughlin, Offensive Receiver of the Year, and Dylan Haynes and Chris McLaughlin also received all-section recognitions. And I will say, as we all know, that when it comes to football, really most sports, that it's a team effort, and I know Jay would absolutely say that it's a team effort, and just a huge congratulations, even though he is the one that won Coach of the Year, and we are so very proud. But every single player and assistant coach and everyone on those sidelines, athletic directors, are all part of this incredible accomplishment. So kudos to all. Congratulations to Coach
Siobhan Sacco.
Siobhan Sacco. Received League Coach of the Year for varsity volleyball, and Cassandra Sancartier was named League Player of the Year. She was also an All-State nominee and All-Section recognition. Congratulations. The varsity boys bowling beat White Plains 7-0 to win the first match of the year. Kosuke Ejiri with a career-high game 189, and George Ruggiero with a high game 191. So congratulations, boys.
That's some serious bowling number, I'll tell you that. And Mr. Galano was here tonight, and we were talking just not long ago. This may be the best overall fall season that I can remember in my 24 years here. We had excellence across the spectrum, not only from academic performance by all the teams, but also athletic performances, and the coaching was outstanding. As you can see, we have 2 coaches of the year in the same season. Just a remarkable run. So, and I think we have an athletic newsletter coming out pretty soon. Am I right? Tomorrow. Great. So look forward to it.
And then one other thing I just want to mention to the community, just keep an eye on the district calendar. There are so many events as we head into December and the holidays, between winter concerts. I know at the elementary level we have parent-teacher conferences next week. Just a lot of events, wonderful things happening, the LMK and Harrison High School tours. So just take a look at the district calendar and keep your eye on the ball. And passing it on to you, Dr. Wolf. Oh, I'm so sorry, one more thing.
No, please.
Mrs. Wolverton has a policy update for us.
There we go.
All right, thank you. We have a first reading this evening of Policy 5330 for budget transfers. We recently revised this policy, and the policy itself has been reviewed by the school district attorney and updates the approval process for making budget transfers between different budget codes. The budget transfers will continue to be reported to the Board of Ed at each public board meeting. And I do just want to thank Kelly Mangan and Samantha Jaberga and Dr. Ladwig for their time on this committee. So, thank you.
Thank you. Now it's your turn.
Okay, thank you very much. Lots to talk about. I just want to acknowledge how every time there is a tragedy in our community, I'm always astounded by the generosity and support that our students receive from our PTAs, but from parents in general. We had a devastating fire here in Harrison, displaced 4 of our families, 6 kids, but many other families as well. And that happened on a Tuesday night, and by Wednesday morning, our families were delivered gift cards from the Harrison PT Council to help them get through what was probably one of the most devastating experiences of their lives, and to try to make Thanksgiving at least manageable. And of course, their support never ends there. I also want to thank the mayor, who reached out to me during that time, and we were in constant contact. We wanted to make sure that those families got as much support from both the town and the district as we could provide, so that partnership is always greatly appreciated. And while I'm talking about appreciation, we did what is a very important thing in schools these days, safety drill, rapid dismissal on Thanksgiving Wednesday, getaway day, and we tested many, many systems. We tested our internal systems, some of the systems that connect directly to parents. This is the first time we notified parents using Crisis Go. And if you haven't downloaded the app, please make sure you check with your principal or go on our website and download that app, because in a real emergency, we will be using that application. It also gives the principal a direct line to every parent. But I also want to thank, as I always do, the extraordinary partnership we get from the Harrison Police Department. They were in every building, supervising every single thing that was going on. We debrief, we study, we try to get better and learn how we can make sure your kids are safe in any event. So a successful, I would say, experience, but we thank the parents for your cooperation. We know elementary parents, it's a pain in the neck, but we remind you that we would never send elementary children home on a bus in an emergency, so we need to practice, and we thank you for helping us with that. A couple of other things I just want to go through. Excuse me while I turn my page. We are beginning a series of really important presentations that will help you have a better understanding of the way in which our district plans ahead. One of the things I say to the board often is nothing here happens by accident. We work really hard at trying to be thoughtful in the implementation of any kind of change or reform, and we're always constantly monitoring our own growth and achievement. As I look out in the audience and I see Dr. Tyler and Ms. Bukema, they have been working tirelessly in our second 5-year review. It's actually our 10-year review of the results of our International Baccalaureate Diploma Program, and that's a requirement of IB, and as always, we are always surprised at how well we're doing, but it's not a surprise when you look at our faculty and the commitment of our kids. So we'll be sharing more of that with you. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, tonight you will hear something that is actually a conclusion to the series of presentations we did last year. We were talking about transitions from pre-K to K, from 5 to 6, from 8 to 9. Tonight you're going to hear from Kim Bukema, our high school principal, and Kelly Malcheski, our director of guidance, about how those transitions happen then from 9 to 10, 11 to 12, and then on to post-secondary opportunities, whether it's college, military, or other. I think you're going to be both interested and moved by that presentation, but I also want to foreshadow what's coming. We will be talking in January, early January. Lisa and Brian will take the lead on some of the work that we do around teacher recruitment and the induction of our new teachers into the organization. It's another point of pride. You may or may not be aware that in the middle of a teacher shortage, we hired 50 teachers this past year. Some as a result of retirement, people move away, people leaving the profession, but we work really hard at teacher recruitment, and Dr. Ladewell will talk about that, and Lisa will talk a lot about how we support teachers over the course of their first 2 years in particular. And then since Mr. Galano's here, I'm going to remind him that he'll be presenting here on January 25th about all of the many things that are going on in physical education, health, and athletics. And Chris has done a magnificent job of connecting those things, but also you will find that the rigor in our physical education program is as rigorous as any other content area and deeply connected to the IB learner profile traits. So we're excited about those things. But at this point, in the interest of time, I'm going to ask two favors. First, Kim and Kelly, would you, or whoever's coming to the podium, come on up. And I'm going to ask the board, if you wouldn't mind, I think it would work better for them if you move to the front row so you can watch their presentation. Do you look surprised for some reason, Ms. Bukema? Oh. Okay. And when we come back to our seats, we'll have plenty of time to question. Okay? I'm going to stay here because I've seen the presentation. Oh, thank you, Andy. I didn't know we were wheeling the ladies down. I would have left the board where they were.
This is going to depend on what you did, so appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, Andy. I will mention that everything on every slide has meaning, so the IB logo is not permitted to be put on any document unless you are a certified IB school. And the other graphic Kim will explain to you, and obviously you know our district logo. There we go. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. And it's nice to see everyone again from last year where we left off. And just to remind you where we left off, we'll pause while the page is loading. But actually, I can speak. So thank you for having us tonight. I'm really proud to be standing here and presenting on what we do at the high school as a team. And last year, if you recall, where we had left off, where my elementary and middle school colleagues had come, the elementary principals were here to talk about transitioning to students into kindergarten, and then that transition from 5th to 6th grade, which the LMK principals took over at that point. And then we at the high school came on board to present what it looks like to move a student from 8th grade into 9th grade. And the reason I want to revisit that really is it's not just a high school experience that prepares a student for post-secondary goals. It really is that whole K through 12 that gets them ready for what they need to do next. But this, obviously, presentation is going to focus particularly on what the high school does to prepare our students for those next steps. And just to revisit some of the highlights that we had at the high school as we moved students from 8th grade into 9th grade. One of the things to note that's going to be a large focus of this presentation is what it looks like the shift with school counselors. So the shift with school counselors, particularly at the high school, is far more individualized because of the size of the caseload at the high school. And our 8th graders start to experience that because they have individualized meetings with school counselors in order to make their course selections around their electives and then those standard courses that all of our 9th graders take. And then they're at the high school. So our 9th graders this year are experiencing all of these things now that they're with us. They obviously had some summer opportunities that they were able to do. But in addition to that, this school year, they continue to really work with the school counselors around those individualized supports that they get through progress monitoring. But it's really the school counselor who plays that key role for students, for our 9th graders, in bringing in all those extra supports depending on really where a student is at. So this is just revisiting where we left off from last school year. And now, here we are. Our student now has transitioned from that foundation that was built in 9th grade, and now they are living in 10th through 12th grade. And what they're going to be experiencing is very individualized for each of them, and at the same time, it's a very deliberate, well thought out structure and systems that have been developed to really meet each student and each family where they are in that, regardless of what that path is leading them to. It's helping them find that road to get there and anything that they need along that way in that journey. And that journey does not live just with guidance, and it's really interesting, and you're going to hear about this a little bit later, how all three of these things intertwine together. But the important thing is that they're all centered around the student. So it's not just the personalized guidance curriculum that we're going to be talking about. You're also going to hear about the rigorous academic experiences that, yes, the school counselors do inform for students, but at the same time, you'll hear the teachers also inform what that looks like in students making decisions and even helping support them through the college process. And then, of course, the unique student experiences that we have offered at the high school and how students are moving in and out of these is so fluid that they don't really realize exactly when you're asking them about what their college or what their story is as they moved through our system, where one began and the other one ended. And now I'd like to invite my colleague up here. No one better to speak on the systems and structures that are in guidance than our Director of Guidance, Kelly Malcheski.
Thank you. Good evening. So to start, I'm bringing to life that circle graphic that Kim just showed you. I really want to parse it out to talk about each piece of it in a little bit more depth. The first piece that I want to highlight is the rigorous academic experiences. Certainly you'll hear a lot of that language or that phrase even when we talk about the coursework in Harrison, but I want to talk a little bit more about what it means and how it comes to be, because like Kim said, everything is structured, everything is deliberate, and it's not by chance that our students are engaging in rigorous coursework. Really, in the guidance department, that begins with the structure we have in place of the individualized and the individual academic advisement meeting. So we talked about that at the last presentations. Starting in the 9th grade year, students have an individual academic advisement appointment with their school counselor, and their family is invited to attend as well. So those happen at a minimum of once per year. And if you ask any family of a high schooler, they often happen many more times than once per year. So that's the structure that we have in place, but there's so much more that happens behind the scenes to make it happen. It's not just one single moment in time where a counselor is presenting coursework and a student is selecting it. The second bullet talks about a whole group curriculum meeting. So Kim, Dr. Tyler, and I also have a structure in place where we meet with larger groups of the 10th graders in particular, because that's a really important decision point in the high school schedule and course offerings, where students are making decisions about the IB courses being offered. So that's the time where we're saying to, IB or not IB. Am I full diploma? Am I taking 10 courses, 5, 1? That's the time when we really want to make sure students are supported. They have all the information they could possibly need about the courses so that when they enter that individual academic meeting, they have everything they would need to make decisions about what their most rigorous, best fit pathway should be. Also, we have something that I call course marketing, so it's
I like that. I never heard that
I made it
before.
up. It's a completely informal term about the way we talk about courses. And it's really, I always talk about it with the directors when we meet with all the content area directors about how important this is. There's no better way, in my opinion, for a student to learn about courses than from the students who have taken the course previously and the teachers who teach the course. So while I have all the faith in the world that the school counselors can do a great job selling our courses to our students, again, there's nobody better than the students and teachers who live the course. So we do a lot of behind the scenes work with developing structures for that. And I like to talk about it because it's not something you might see in our guidance curriculum. It's not necessarily on the district calendar, but it's something that's happening deliberately in the work we do every day. So that's happening behind the scenes. Sometimes you'll have directors who are, having students actually push into courses to say, hey, next year this is what's available to you. Or you'll actually have teachers, developing videos for maybe the level under them so students know what's coming up in the pathway. Finally, another thing that happens behind the scenes that we probably don't talk too much about is the school counselors meet with each academic director, along with Dr. Mulhall, Kim, and I, every December. So these meetings are coming up, and we have them every December, where we review the entirety of our coursework at the high school. We literally go through every course offering we have, the changes to it, what's happening. Are the assessments going to look different this year? Are we changing a title of a course, and why? So we really want to make sure that the counselors are on the same page as the teachers who teach the course, as the students who are entering the courses. So again, when we enter that structure of the individual academic meeting, students are making really solid choices about their coursework, and they're coming fully prepared to make those decisions. This slide is the other part of the circle, which is the guidance curriculum. So it's the personalized guidance curriculum. And on this slide, I call it the post-secondary transition experiences. So again, a lot of times the guidance curriculum can just look like events on a calendar, but really what I am pleased to have the opportunity to do tonight is bring those events to life, to really show them and highlight them as the curriculum of the guidance office. We don't teach guidance curriculum necessarily in the classroom every day like a teacher does, but we find ways to really personalize and design our curriculum and give students opportunities to experience it all 4 years of high school. But today what we're highlighting is really that grade 10 through 12. And I tried to find a concise way to represent it, and I hope this chart gets at that. Really what it's showing you is what students experience in grades 10, 11, and 12 at different points in the school year when it comes to guidance. The other really nice part of the guidance curriculum is that you may experience events more than once. You may experience events in different grade levels, and there are different events for different students. All students have an opportunity to attend all of these events, but it might not be right for everyone. Not every student needs to attend the how and why of demonstrated interest, where some students that's really important in their college process. So I am going to just bring a lot of this to life for you so you can hear the personalization that's happening within what may just seem like an event, but is actually curriculum. So in fall of grade 10, I put this event. Now this NCAA Athletics After High School event is actually an event that includes, we invite parents, Chris Galano and I invite parents from grades 7 through 12 to attend this event. So there are parents who will attend this event multiple times, but certainly the 10th grade year is a typical year where families will start to want to explore this process a little bit further. This is an event that Chris and I started a few years ago, where really we are joining the forces of the guidance department, which is the academic side of the NCAA process, and then the athletic department, which is certainly the athletic side of the process. So just really joining forces to, help understand what can be a complicated process, and really just show families that there is support from the school when it comes to navigating athletics after high school. In the winter, we are now starting to talk about practice testing. We are very lucky in our district that the district funds and pays for the practice testing for all of our students, which is an incredible opportunity. We also offer it during our school day, so we have just about every single 10th grade student experiencing a practice ACT and a practice SAT, which is really unheard of. We are not, keeping anyone away. We are giving everyone the opportunity to do this. What's beautiful about this process for a 10th grade student is it's low risk, low stakes. We can take it as seriously or as sort of comfortably as we need to, depending on the student. And when you leave, it really helps guide students to make decisions about which test is a better fit for them, maybe which one they know they never want to take, maybe they realize they never want to take a standardized test again, and it really allows them to focus. The nice part about this as well is they receive really detailed results pages that they can review with their school counselor and make plans about how they want to spend their summer and moving into the next year to prepare for these standardized tests moving forward. We also have that IB diploma pathway meeting, which I already talked about. And then, of course, in grade 11 and 12, everything ramps up because now we're really talking about transitioning not just through Harrison High School, but out of Harrison High School. So the 11th grade year, there's a lot of college information. You see the college tour is listed there. So again, really generous grants from HEF that have allowed these tours to happen, giving opportunity to students first that may have not been able to attend a college campus tour otherwise. The other really nice part about it, and it reminded me when we went to SUNY New Paltz this year, is it's an incredible motivator for students as well. Sometimes students who don't see themselves as college-going students set foot on a college campus and suddenly start to realize that this could be me. Maybe I could come here. Maybe I could do this. And it really is an incredibly powerful experience. We also have college visits. So in the guidance office, we have a beautiful guidance classroom, and college admissions representatives come to us and meet with our students in small groups. Sometimes the groups are as small as 2 or 3 kids with an admissions representative that might be the one who's reviewing your application. It is really personalized, really special, and a happy gift of COVID was that the reps now from all over the country will attend via Zoom. So we'll have the reps on the screen in the guidance classroom while the students are in person, so they're interacting from anywhere in the country, or the world for that matter, with college admissions reps that might be reviewing their apps. We had the largest number of college visits last year. Well over 200 colleges visited the high school, and we're trending actually to be over 200 this fall. We also host the Harrison High School College Fair. Our high school PTA is an incredible support for this event. That's actually a picture there of this year's fair. We have anywhere from 75 to 100 schools that come and attend. Students, again, have an opportunity to meet with admissions representatives. And the other nice part about this, again, is the opportunity and access. So the county has a college fair that night. So we were smart, and we said, well, we're going to have it during the day. We want our students to have a little alone time with these representatives. We want to make sure everyone has access. And it's just another great way for students to have access to the college representatives. Grade 11 is also the PSAT, so now students are ready if they are working towards that National Merit Scholarship or can use it as another practice in the process. And we also are making sure at this time we're orienting not just students, but parents to Naviance. So we do a parent presentation for Naviance at this time as well, which is the tool we use to apply to colleges and explore colleges. In the winter, we have post-secondary planning meetings. So anytime we have a meeting, it's not only for students, but it's also for parents. So we make sure everyone is on the same page and ready. We have individual college kickoff meetings with each school counselor. And again, we're meeting families where they are. Everyone's meeting looks different. Some students and family enter, very confused or very overwhelmed, while others come with a fully formed list. It's okay. We're ready to meet you wherever you are. In the spring, we offer an SAT and ACT on site. So we're not a testing center, but we did just a couple of years ago decide that we, again, wanted our students to have the opportunity to test on campus during the school day if that was easier in terms of access or just feeling more comfortable to do it on school grounds. So we offer those now in the spring to our juniors. We also have some
Wait a minute, we will have a much larger air-conditioned space for those tests this year, just saying.
Thank
we
you.
have an air.
I appreciate that. Also, we have some really interesting, unique events. We have an Applying to College in the United States presentation that came about a few years ago. That's a growing event, whether it's parents who moved from another country or families who moved from another country or just never attended college in the United States. It's a really interesting, unique, personalized experience for people who are approaching the college admissions process a little differently. We also have an HEOP or EOP presentation. Again, that's a growing new event that we started recently. A different population of students who are navigating these educational opportunity programs. It can be incredibly nuanced and challenging to navigate. So we brought in the experts and we make sure students can access that on campus. And then at the bottom, there's our College Bound event, which is an official kickoff to college admissions event for our juniors. The counselors run it with just their caseload of students. So it's about a counselor and about 30 students who are meeting, kicking off the process, and really giving them some work to do over the summer to get ready for the college admissions season in the fall. Moving into grade 12, we'll move quickly through it, but there's a senior college meeting, of course. So now parents come back, students come back. We're making sure we're on track for the admission season. We have a financial aid night. So parents and students can come to that. Even better than the financial aid night, I think, is then a few bullets down our FAFSA completion night. This event started about 3 years back and has grown. It's almost tripled in size at this point, and it continues to grow. FAFSA completion night, what we do is we bring representatives from financial aid offices from local colleges to Harrison High School in the evening. We invite families, they come with their child, and we set up systems so that they can complete the FAFSA, which can be a very stressful part of the college process and a real barrier for a lot of families. Some families will come and just really want an expert sort of over their shoulders to make sure they're not messing anything up, which would be me. And then there's other families who have really complicated financial situations or really complicated family situations. And the experts who are there with us will literally sit with them for 2-3 hours, navigating their tax documents until they leave with a completed FAFSA. We have families who have left there in tears, just feeling completely overwhelmed and appreciative. And we also have bilingual experts who come that evening as well. So we make sure that everyone is fully
And the
supported.
number of completed FAFSA applications in that 3-year period has almost tripled.
Yeah.
Kelly and I get reports from FAFSA as to each one that's completed, and I'm astounded at how many get completed.
It's life-changing.
It is
really
life-changing for many families.
We also have, of course, we offer another sitting of the SAT and ACT in the senior year. We are continuing to run common application workshops at that time for some students who might need a little nudge in the college process or who could just use, not mom or dad. Sometimes it just needs to be somebody else who is sitting with them to complete the application. We also have an alumni day, which we just hosted before the Thanksgiving break, which was awesome. So we have students who from the class of 2022 came back in a panel setting for the current seniors, talking about their experiences during their first couple of months of college, and really just reflecting back on Harrison High School and being able to share some things that, without being removed from the Harrison High School campus, it's just some new insight. It's amazing how sort of quickly they grow up and are able to be a resource to their peers. Finally, we're starting to wind down in the school year in the college process. We have another really individualized event, which is the how and why of demonstrated interest. So this is important in some students' college process, not others. If a student has been waitlisted or is still looking to get into a school, sometimes demonstrating interest to the school that you're interested in attending becomes an important part of the process. And it's a little bit of an art and a science to navigate, and we certainly want to support students through doing that and doing it well. So we have workshops that help students and families approach that part of the nuanced part of the process. Finally, at this point in the year, we do have some students who are still looking for a 4-year acceptance, and we bring colleges to Harrison High School, and they actually host on-site admissions days. So they come in and they'll offer acceptances on the spot after an interview with students, and that really helps support students and give students 4-year options that may not have had them otherwise.
That's all you do? I'm just kidding.
I know it was really lengthy, but
No,
really the point of explaining it is, first of all, it's a celebration of some really awesome work of the school counseling department in the high school, but a really personalized approach, and nothing's happening by accident. I hope that that comes through loud and clear, that this is all so thoughtful and deliberate, and any outcomes that we're seeing are because of the structures that we have in place.
And all of these touch points over those 4 years, it's very helpful to see it presented this way. Thank you, Kelly.
So after all that talking, this graphic just seemed to make sense to me, that we are all starting at point A at the high school, and the reality is we're getting to whatever that post-secondary might be. It's going to look different for everyone. We're all going to get there a little differently. That student in the middle is sort of, flowing through the process very easily, while the one at the bottom might be looping around a little bit, and that's okay. You might be experiencing events differently, and we're here to support students in a highly personalized way. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the class of 2022, because if we're talking about outcomes of the college process, we can't talk about the current class who's sort of living the admissions process in real time. But we said last year there were 283 pathways to post-secondary plans, and we really believe that. The reality is everyone's pathway looks a little different. And now these are the outcomes. So I could talk all day about the college admissions data that we have, but I pulled out a few slides of the report that I prepare for the district every year to share with you, to just really highlight that, again, all of these structures are in place to lead to these amazing outcomes for students. So some of the highlights, if you look, 97% of our graduates are attending college. We had 92% of our students admitted to a four-year institution, 92% of our students, which is just an incredible number and a real celebration. The graphic, what that's showing you briefly, is the way that we'd measure and track the success, really, of our admission season. It's always our goal to have students apply to their most competitive, best fit college. That's another term I made up. But most competitive, best fit college. We really want students to push themselves and have competitive acceptances, but really also that are appropriate fits for them, of course, and we help them do that along the way. Barron's has a profile of American colleges classified with a rank of 1, 2, 3, or 4. And 1 through 4 are considered the most competitive, or at least highly competitive schools in the admissions process. And if you look at our acceptances this year in the pie chart, 82% of our students had acceptances at the most or highly competitive schools across the country, which is phenomenal. And that number is increasing as we go here. In this chart showing over the last 5 years, if you look at the first column, how we've grown in our most highly and very competitive acceptances, I think a lot of this certainly is the increased personalization of our guidance curriculum. Each year it gets more and more personal, and students are feeling more and more ready for this process. And we do, you'll hear in a little bit, the way in which students feel supported throughout the process. They really feel like they can do it, and when they believe they can do it, they do. This shows, again, our four-year acceptances. We're always sort of hovering around that 92, 93, 94%, which is an astounding number. This is one more graph I wanted to share with you about early decision. That's another really popular college buzzword that, it's hard to make sense of sometimes, like who's applying early decision or ED. What this graph is showing over the past few years, the maroon bar is showing the number of students who applied early decision in that class. And then the gray is showing the percentage of those students who were accepted in the early decision round. So this year we had 60%, and if you see the numbers have grown, and before the class of 2019, they sort of all hovered around that 40% number. And that has really increased for us as well over the years. So that's another measure of our success that we're really keeping a close watch on. Students are getting into their first choice schools. I did a little digging, and I also found that Naviance tracks some of their national data around how do we compare to the national data of ED acceptances. Naviance said it's at about 47% nationally of students who are accepted early decision. So Harrison High School is really doing a nice job in the early decision round. And it's especially interesting to me that we're continuing to grow in this, because during the pandemic, more and more students started applying early decision with the increase in test optional schools. So that's an additional celebration for us that we still are seeing that number so high. Again, I could talk all night, but there's also a document that has all of this information. It's called the school profile. So if you're not familiar with it, I would encourage you to check it out. It's on the district website. This is just 2 of the 6 pages of the document. We create this document every year. It is an absolute pleasure to do because it celebrates all of the highlights of each class. So all of the bullets on the front page, they explain who we are as a community, who our students are, what we value, what our student success were for the year, and then all of that college data is worked into the profile as well. This is used not only as a celebration for us as a district, and it's something that we're proud to share with the community, but it's also used by the admissions representatives when reviewing college applications. So if an admissions representative has a college application that they're reviewing, they're also looking at the school profile to compare the student against the profile. How did that student experience Harrison High School, and how did that student access the courses at Harrison High School? Again, I'm a numbers person. I'm a former math teacher. I could talk about the numbers all day, but there's really nothing more beautiful than when you start to look at the people behind these numbers. So we want to start to tell that part of the story for the end of the presentation. I could have 283 bullets up here about how every pathway is unique, but we just pulled out a few sort of randomly about students that we're just proud of and that we want to share with you, because it really starts to paint the picture of who these students are. For example, from the class of 2022, we have a student who is majoring in business, minoring in fashion, went through the NCAA process. She plays soccer at Elmira. We had a student who went through an incredible special scholarship process and was accepted to the highly competitive Georgia Institute of Technology on a full ride. We had a student who applied EOP, that Educational Opportunity Program, a first-generation college student attending a fabulous SUNY school, and is going to be a library media specialist. We had a student who really struggled academically and social-emotionally at the high school, but found IB Visual Arts and really just thrived, became his own, and now is attending FIT and is loving it. We have a student who excelled academically with interest in math, but also loved to dance and was able to do that during the school day. She participated in IB Dance HL, was a full diploma student, and I just spoke with her when she came back for the panel, and she's still taking all her math classes, but also doing dance on the side as an extracurricular, and attends the University of Pennsylvania, which is obviously incredibly competitive. And then the bottom bullet that's cut off there is a student who went as an engineering major to a SUNY school. That was a good fit for him, decided on SUNY Maritime, and ended up doing the Regiment of Cadets. And it's just really, I talked to him the other day as well, and just incredibly mature and grown up and really proud of his first few months at school.
Well, we picked up the transition story as students entered to the high school, talking about a lot of the different structures and systems, and then what the outcomes of those structures and systems are in the college process. And Callie really just highlighted some of the individual student, things that we're super proud of, to hear what some of our students are doing and how individualized it is, each of their outcomes. But really, the high school is never one story, and it's all about, we talk about student agency all the time, students having voice, choice, and ownership in absolutely everything that they do, and that occurs throughout the college process. And we really wanted to try to make a story or stories come to life for you, because when you just look up there at events, they're still just events. When you look at outcomes, they're just like still numbers that we're setting up there. So we went back to that class of 283 seniors, and if you see 4 highlights there, I did some exit interviews last spring as our seniors were getting ready to leave us. They were actually right in the midst of IB exams and were gracious enough to come in for an exit interview, and interviewed numerous students, and all of the audios that I was able to record from that ranged anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes. And so we really had to try to narrow down to give you just a slice of it. And I could sit here and we've all listened to them several times. And I'm going to give a shout out in the back because Andy Nickel has listened to them several times.
Oh, way more than several times.
Way more than several times. I think he quit opening his email there for a while because he was just knew that we would be waiting in it with another recording that we were like, no, just redo this one and take this out and add this. To really try to capture a student's story. So you're going to hear some audios of 4 different of our graduates from last school year who all have really gone on to amazing different things, but each of their experiences were so personalized. They did have that choice, voice, and ownership that you're going to hear in the audio clips. And because we did try to narrow them down to about 4 minutes apiece to make it, digestible in this moment, you're going to hear some pauses in them because they are clipped together from one student's clip. So if it was a 20-minute clip, we narrowed it down to 4, trying to pick and choose the most important moments in that.
he is. So you may recognize him, actually. Juan Gomez was one of our speakers at graduation last year. He was chosen by our faculty as our student speaker out of our group of SUMA students, which is always a great honor. So let's hear from Juan.
With me and my family, we knew absolutely nothing. Prior to September of my senior year, I hadn't really looked into any colleges, any programs, or even what I wanted to study. I knew that I was pretty good at math, and I loved learning about science. So that's why, with the help of my counselor, I ended up going through engineering. I don't know. It's
Do you have older siblings?
I do have one older sibling. Unfortunately, we haven't even gone through the college process yet, though. So, and not only the support with me, but Miss Leone reached out to my family and understood that I'm a first generation going to college, and that maybe that she wasn't exposed to the opportunities that I'm seeing while talking with her. So I got a chance to meet with her alongside my mom and be able to work through that. And I think that's something that really supported me in that time, and I think that support projects onto the success that I'm seeing now. I think my family has a history of putting their head down and working, and I think once those kind of people find spaces where they are giving opportunity for anybody, I think that's where we see people really thriving. I think here at Harrison, I think there's so many people that have given me those experiences where I felt, oh, I can be a part of this community and I can grow and thrive in here. It doesn't matter where you come from, what skill set you have when you start. I think the mentality of wanting to grow and working towards the next goal step by step with support of mentors that are around you, I think no matter what, the success has to be in the future if you keep an open mind and understand that there are opportunities here to be taken advantage of. A lot that at first when I was picking my courses for 10th grade, I wasn't sure if I should take AP World. Had meeting with my counselor, going back and forth whether it was the right fit for me. But I think that the strength that we have in our history department is incomparable to anywhere else. And I think in those meetings with my counselor, she was able to advocate for them and make me understand that I can fit in to a program like this. And then I found that it was something that I was passionate about as well. So I'm really happy to be in a place where I'm getting all these opportunities.
So for Juan, after receiving compelling offers from both Cornell, Boston University, and Northeastern, Juan is now studying engineering at the University of Virginia. And next, we are going to hear briefly from Yasmin.
I think one of the biggest and most impactful experiences I've had, especially with the transition from the middle school to high school, was being able to take DDP, tech in middle school, and having Mr. D kind of talk to us about all of the opportunities there are in Harrison High School and all the classes that there are here, and asking us if we're taking DDP next year in the high school and everything. And I remember kind of at the time being annoyed at him, oh my gosh, he's asking me every day about DDP. But then I ended up considering it, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made, because of him pushing me to take DDP, it made me want to take MAID the next year, and then it made me make the big decision of taking HL Tech for 2 years. And I'm also taking HL Physics on top of that. But because of that decision I made, it's the reason why I'm so in love with the major I'm going into, which is architecture, and learning learning more about that field and also engineering and learning about like the whole design process as a whole, I think was very impactful. I got a lot of help from my guidance counselor, Ms. Hayen, like a lot of help, and she was the one who told me that I also have to take art because taking art class would help me like do my art portfolio for like going into college and stuff if I wanted to do architecture. I think the FAFSA completion night helped me a lot. That night I had a lot of trouble. For some reason I wasn't able to like complete my FAFSA, and me and my mom were very stressed, and I think the lady told us that we have to go home and like call them because we were having trouble with completing it. And then I was like, me and my mom were on our way like to exit the school, and then we ran into Ms. Hayen, and she was like, oh, how did everything go? Like, congratulations. And then I couldn't hold myself back. I just started crying to her. And I was like, oh, I wasn't able to complete it. Like, it's so upsetting, whatever. And she took me into her office that night, and it was getting pretty late. It was like 7-8 like p.m. and she took me into her office with my mom, and she sat us down and she called FAFSA and like figured everything out for us, and yeah, we ended up completing it, and it was a very big help. Not only with like the college stuff this year, she's also helped me like choose my classes like freshman to senior year, and I think she was the one who pushed me to like push myself and in taking like the IB courses and HL physics and all that. And she would always tell me, like, she would always boost my confidence.
I wanted to add, Yasmin is now studying architecture at New York Institute of Technology.
We have two more short clips. They're about 3 minutes each, but they just tell different parts of the story. The next student, Jack Kelly, you may have heard of Jack Kelly. After being accepted to impressive schools such as Yale, Brown, Stanford, UPenn, Georgetown, and more, Jack ended up choosing to study at Harvard this year. So we're incredibly proud and impressed by Jack and his journey through the high school. And I think I just wanted to give you that context as you listen to how Jack accessed the support that we offer at Harrison High School.
I wanted to like use the resources that were available to me, but like not like going to a public school. And like the people that I trusted most, like some of the teachers, like Mr. Kaplan, Miss Voss, Mr. Glover, like so many amazing teachers, even with like the college workshop, I was like, there are these resources here, like why would I try and outsource them?
Did you go to the college?
Yeah, I did go to the college essay workshop. I worked with Miss Voss, Miss Brennan, Mr. Glover, found tremendously helpful advice, and honestly, I thought it was, I mean, I can only imagine and speculate on this, but I thought that was way more helpful advice than I could have gotten from anyone else, because the amount of times I've spent talking with these people and they like really get to know me, like they can help see how authentic my writing is. And one of the things that like Voss, Kaplan, like all of these amazing teachers said was like, this sounds like you, like this like helps convey who you are, and like that's so important. And it was nice to be like working with people who had already worked before, like they knew my writing style, they kind of knew like who I was as a student, and I just found that like staying here, and because I had been fortunate enough to build up like really, really strong relationships with some of the amazing faculty here at Harrison High School, that really made all the difference. And that kind of support I used throughout the college process. Using like the teachers that I knew here, it wasn't like you were bringing in somebody else to take over your process. It was like if you had a question, or if you wanted an extra opinion on something, or if you wanted somebody to like look at something, they were all more than willing to help, which is like really speaks to the faculty that we have here, because that's like outside the scope of a class that they're teaching. It really was because they had been so kind and such amazing. We had formed such a strong relationship. They were willing to like meet and talk, and that, I don't know, it just like, that was one of the most defining parts of my entire high school experience. Wow. I have to give a shout out to Ms. Katzenberg, I'd imagine, because I, as you've said, like the small caseload, anytime I had a question, it was like, let me email, and it wasn't like, oh, I'll get back to you in like 3 weeks, which it could be at other schools or like where you might not where it might be 300 kids for a counselor or whatever, some much larger number, it was like, oh, I'll get back to you by the end of the day. And that's important because a lot of the things in the college process are quite timely, like, and time sensitive. Like, when I got that award at ISEF, I mean, I don't really know if this affected any of the college decisions, but I did update them because I was like, this is such a big, very cool honor to share with these colleges.
Yeah.
And I really need to turn that letter around in like a day. And so being able to like have people look it over and like share your thoughts. I think I met with Katzenberg the same day I wrote the letter. I wrote it like third period and met with her 8th period. And like that is very, very helpful to have, is that like accessibility to the guidance office and being able to get different perspectives. And like it's cool to have the perspective of a teacher who like knows you in the classroom and like has like worked with you like through your learning experience, and then also like the perspective of a guidance counselor who like has like the more like college focused lens, and like I don't know, it's like they offer different insights and you're able to kind of like mesh those together to kind of give a more comprehensive and broad view of what you're doing.
And finally, this is Michael Ferriello, and he is currently attending Holy Family University in Pennsylvania.
Originally, at the beginning of this year, I wasn't planning to go to college, or I was planning to go to community college, but then I told her about that, and she said it was an okay decision if I really wanted to make it, but that I should think more about where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do with my life, you know, what job I wanted to pursue. And just talking to her, having those meetings, she really pushed to have meetings with me. Because like we were, at one point I think we were meeting every week, and we didn't really do that for the junior year, the freshman year, because we didn't need to, but she really helped me along the way. She really pushed me academically, and even I think she changed a mental part of me, because I was definitely always a little lazy, and now I'd like to say I take pride in my rigor now, that I applied to 15 colleges, 16 colleges, something like that. I went to a small private school in the Bronx for most of my life, for all of my life basically, before Harrison, and coming here it was much more rigorous academically and socially. My school had 30 kids, so coming here with 1,000 people in this school, how much was it? 1,060?
1,060.
1,060 students. It was a big shift for me, and the coursework was much harder, the curriculum was much harder, and I think it pushed me to become a better student, to be more social with everyone. The Harrison community is it has a lot of great faculty, a lot of great students, and I'm just happy to be here, to be a part of this great school. And that's why I moved here. That's why my family moved here in the first place, to provide a good education for me. The teachers genuinely care about you. They care about your grades. You can talk to any of your teachers and ask them to set up a meeting if they can help you with the specific thing. The teachers are there for you. The principal is there for you. The assistant principals are there for you. I think even the other students, I think everyone genuinely cares about what's happening to you, about if you need help or not. And especially the guidance counselors. I was having kind of a rough time junior year, senior year, that transition, and she helped me. She helped me a lot. She told me that I could do it, and that my greatest enemy was myself. That I could challenge myself, that I could be this academic Renaissance man, kind of. She didn't say Renaissance man, but she said that I could be, academically great. I could strive in Harrison, and that I was limiting myself by and my grades that year weren't very good either. You can look at it. She helped me boost those grades up when I was failing, when I was not really doing so great in these classes. She would guide me to contact teachers, to email them, to set up extra help dates with them, to to speak with them more often. And that just really helped me, because without that, I probably wouldn't have gone to those extra help meetings. I wouldn't have spoken to those teachers. I wouldn't have emailed them the missing work. And I think it was just a mixture of her really speaking to me and me kind of being ready at that moment, that when those two things combined, that made the fire.
So you can see I have like the best job in the world, right? It was a lot of fun to conduct those interviews with students. And I think that they, better than us, could tell the story of what it is to personalize your experience. The structures, the systems, all of that is intentional, but how a student goes through that is totally individualized to them. And we're just really proud of where they all get to. And we're really proud of our faculty, whether it's a classroom teacher or a school counselor or whatever their role is. It's really everybody that has a hand in our students landing and getting to where they get to. So thank you.
If the board would like to come back to the board table, and you two don't leave yet, just in case there are questions, would you mind just hanging around for a minute? Andy, excellent job as always. I know they aged you about 10 years. They're a good group. So, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I want to start off by saying thank you to Kim and to Kelly for an excellent presentation and for so thoughtfully revealing why we say all the time that nothing in Harrison is an accident. You can so see the hands of teachers and counselors and you on the lives of those children. I get very emotional when I hear those stories. From first-generation families to a student who came to us from a school of 30, to a student that went to Harvard, to a guidance counselor just saying to somebody, you can do it, to a guidance counselor pulling a child in with her mother at 9 o'clock at night and getting the FAFSA finished so that the anxiety could be relieved. Those are the moments I don't think we all realize that transform lives. Kids feel and understand that they have value. There's a lot for you to be proud of. And those numbers, you know I'm a numbers guy. And I love the new presentation, Kelly, of all of the things that the guidance counselors do for kids over the course of the 4 years. Much of this data is not new because Kelly meets with me every year and Lisa at this point, and we review that freaking profile. And it's been profiled by other colleges as exemplary because it tells a different story. It is truly evidence that Harrison High School lives its mission of all means all. There are children of all walks of life. I'm looking at Dr. Tyler in the back, who's the head of our IB program. He's also the president of our union. We have so much to be proud of. This is about teachers. Tonight is really a celebration of the extraordinary faculty in that high school. So, I don't know. I needed a good Thanksgiving boost. I just got one. But questions from the board or comments? Mr. DiLorenzo, you can't be without words. Come on.
Finally, I'm without words. No, I certainly don't have any questions. As a parent that has lived that high school 3 times over with 3 children who experienced their own individualized journey, all I can do is first express my great appreciation for all the work of the guidance team and the teachers for allowing kids agency. I mean, I think the part of the presentation that hit me the hardest, particularly with some work that I'm doing now in schools where students don't have choice, the empowerment of our student body to self-select into pathways that match their passion is such a singular privilege in this community, and it's wonderful that we've created an environment to promote that empowerment, that choice, and that agency, and it really is a testament to all the good work, and the guidance team is at the center of that, so thank you.
It's so amazing to me what kids notice. They notice the size of the caseload of their counselors, that they get an answer by the end of the day. They see so much And you do have the best job. I am very envious,
I do.
Madam Principal.
It was a lot of fun to talk to them.
Yeah. And Kelly, you did a magnificent job of narrating what the guidance department is doing. Any other questions?
No, but thank you. I mean, and I'm sure Sam is feeling the same way, having 8th graders and about to go through this. And as much as we're informed and in the know, like, we're not, and we haven't lived this yet. And to see all of the hands along the way that really support the process, it's very overwhelming, but it's deliberate and intentional, and you can see how well supported everyone is. So it's an incredible accomplishment at all the stepping stones that you guys have in place.
And before we let you go, it would be an unfinished story if we didn't acknowledge all of the partners that weren't recognized tonight. And it's so interesting that the foundation happened to be in the room tonight, and they've been partners and have made so much possible for kids that wouldn't have otherwise been unable to do certain things. But our parents, I mentioned so how did our parents figure out how to get money to families that were devastated on Tuesday night by Wednesday morning? There is an ethic of care in this community. I can tell you stories about as teacher assistants and teacher aides and SRO officers in that high school and in all of our schools that sometimes are the difference makers. So we have built collectively, and this board should be commended because Mr. DiLorenzo, who sat here next to me for 17 years, very few boards have taken the steps that we have taken to make sure that equity is a reality. You pay for tests for every child because many kids couldn't make that leap. And that's why we have 97% of kids going to colleges and 92% going to four-year colleges. We have so many first-generation children. We have so many kids getting into their most competitive fits. Those are not our standards. Those are the Barron's standards when we look at those colleges. So I just think it's time to just recognize that it's all of us living this mission together that's making a difference in the lives of every one of the children that go to school here. So you two should go home to bed because you have an early morning. Thank you so much, Dr. Galano. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm not kidding. He's not a doctor yet, but he's working on it. His brother's a doctor. And we look forward to your next presentation, Mr. Galano. We're going to get ready for it. Yeah.
Right on top of
Hey,
that.
Mr. Galano, before you leave, I just had one question. Are you busy next Friday? No. Okay, just checking, because you have an appointment as far as I know. Mr. Galano will be getting married next Friday, so we're very excited for him and we're happy.
Congratulations.
Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. Those of you that have sat through this whole thing, we appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, we have to get back to work now.
Yeah. Moving on to the personnel report. I will take the personnel report on consent unless anyone objects. Seeing none. A, certificated personnel. 1, regular appointment, SED clearance received. 2, temporary appointment, SED clearance received. 3, extra compensation appointment. 4, leave of absence without pay. 5, change of status. B, non-certificated personnel. 1, resignation for the purpose of retirement. 2, regular appointment, SED clearance received. Do I have a motion to approve the personnel report?
Motion.
Second? Second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Moving on to the administrative report, I will take on consent unless anyone objects. Seeing none. A, approval of Harrison High School DECA Club field trip to Rochester, New York for the DECA State Competition. B, first reading of policy 5330, budget transfers. C, acceptance of Harrison Educational Foundation grant. D, acceptance of Harrison Educational Foundation grant. E, approval of extracurricular club. F, approval of extracurricular club. G, approval of CSE CPSE minutes. H, approval of CSE CPSE recommendation. I would like to thank, once again, the Harrison Educational Foundation for their continued support and commitment to the children in our community. We are very grateful. Do I have a motion to approve the administrative report?
Motion.
Second? Questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none. Moving on to the finance and facilities report, I will take on consent unless anyone objects. Seeing none. A, approval of deduct change order Harrison Ave Elementary School Auditorium HVAC upgrade. B, approval of deduct changed order Harrison High School Gymnasium HVAC upgrade. C, 2022-23 appropriation transfers. Do I have a motion to approve the finance and facilities report?
Motion.
Second? Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. The next regularly scheduled board meeting for the Harrison Central School District will be December 14th, 2022, here in the Lewis M. Klein Middle School Auditorium. Do I have a motion to close the regularly scheduled business meeting?
Motion.
Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.